Hello bookworms, welcome back to the Bonified Bookworm. I'm your host Rachel, and if you're watching this channel then you're here to read along with me and hopefully improve your English or learn English. So today I wanted to share something with you all that I think is kind of funny. So I tried to paint in the past. I've done some different paintings. Most of them are still in storage, as are my books, which is very sad because normally I would have a bookcase behind me full of books, but I don't right now. They're all in storage. So I hope to get those out someday. But anyway, back to the painting. So I have attempted to paint again with acrylics, which I think is hilarious because I listened to several different YouTube people online, and one of the people online had said that you don't need to buy the color black, because she said, well, you can just make that color. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. So I watched this other man and he was demonstrating how to take blue and red and just kind of mix it until you get like a muddy color, then it turns black. Well, I attempted to do that on this painting, and it kind of just became a cluster. We'll just say it became a cluster. So yeah, so I ended up just kind of going with it and making my own thing. I was supposed to be actually following along and making something, but I realized I don't have the technical skill yet to mix my own black. So I think next time I follow along to do a painting, I'm going to actually have the color black to use. So anyway, so this is the painting that I created, and I have named it The Flood, which I think is an appropriate name considering how it looks. So if your brain's sitting there going, what the hell is that? It's some trees with like a river kind of running through it, flooding up the banks possibly, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that was my first attempt when I haven't painted in like, I think it's been probably 2 or 3 years, honestly. So I guess it's not that bad, but it's certainly not what I was going for. But this goes into another lesson about what I keep saying: just always keep trying, don't give up, be Abraham Lincoln, be Nemo, just keep swimming, just keep trying, just do it. That's Nike, not me. Whoever came up with that, like, they just blew it out of the water, because you can't ever say just do it without saying, oh yeah, that's Nike. So as you can see too, I'm sitting a little bit further back from my camera today because I'm Italian and I talk with my hands, and I feel like it's kind of awkward when I'm so close to the camera. You can't see my hands moving, you can just kind of see my body moving up here. It looks weird. So I'm just trying this out. We'll see how that goes. It's very difficult for me to talk without using my hands. I don't think I could talk if they were tied behind my back. It would just not work. So anyway, again, I'm trying to get ahead with recording so I can stay consistent with having Tuesday and Thursday posts. And so far I'm on it. This would be, I believe this will be Thursday's post, possibly. I don't know. I'm just gonna stop saying Tuesday or Thursday because I can't keep track right now. So we are, of course, reading Touching the Void by Simpson. And when we left off, they had, the way it was described, the way I understand it, is that they got to a certain point where they should have been able to turn back around and go back down, but due to the ice or the snow or the collapse, how they were climbing, they're not able to just turn around and go back. Sounds like they're kind of in a pickle, which if you're learning English and you're not familiar with that phrase, being in a pickle is being in a jam, being stuck, having problems. So they're definitely in a pickle. So we're going to pick back up at, I already looked at it and I already forgot. We're going to pick back up on page 61. As I said, we hadn't really missed anything. I believe we stopped on page 60-ish, but basically, yeah, they're kind of stuck where they're at, and they're trying to navigate a way out. So we're going to pick up at the top of page 61. There's a paragraph at the top. We're going to pick up on that second paragraph. Stumbling through a wall of sugary snow and into another gully, I kicked against a rock beneath the snow. "Simon," I shouted, "stop where you are a while. There's a small rock wall here." That was really hard to say. "It's a bit tricky getting around it." I decided to place a rock peg in the wall and then tentatively balance around the obstacle. I succeeded with the rock peg, but somehow managed to fall down and round the wall without coming onto the rope. Simon employed an equally basic climbing technique using gravity and body weight, jumping down the wall without being able to see where he would land, but correct in the assumption that when he did, it would be with such force that he would safely bury himself firmly in the loose snow beyond. The only flaw I could find in his reasoning was that he didn't know whether his landing would be loose snow or rock. We were too tired and cold by then to care. Once beyond the rock, we crossed an open slope of powder, mercifully without flutings. We were heading back up towards where we guessed the ridge would be, and after a couple of rope links, found a large cone of snow swept up against a rock wall. We decided to dig a snow cave. Simon's head torch kept flickering from a loose or damaged connection. I began digging and soon struck rock. I tried digging parallel with the rock to make a long, narrow cave, but after half an hour gave up. The cave had so many holes in it that it would provide little protection from the wind. It was bitterly cold, and Simon had struggled to repair his head torch with his bare fingers, fiddling with the copper contacts in the dark. Digging had kept me warm despite the temperature falling to around the -20 mark, but 2 of Simon's fingers were frostbitten. He became angry with me when I started to dig another cave. Unjustly, I decided that Simon was behaving petulantly and ignored him. The next site for the cave was marginally better, and although I struck rock, I managed to build it to fit the 2 of us. By then, Simon had mended the torch, but his fingers were beyond rewarming. He was still bristling with anger at my lack of cooperation. I prepared the meal. There was little enough left. We ate chocolate and dried fruit and drank a lot of fruit juice. By then, we had forgotten our tired anger and regained a sense of perspective. I had been as cold and tired as Simon and had only wanted a cave dug quickly so that we could get into our sleeping bags and make some hot drinks. It had been another very long day. It had started well, and we had been glad to get off the west face, but the descent had become increasingly difficult and nerve-wracking. Falling over the cornice had shaken both of us, and the strain afterwards had been wearing. We had got angry enough with each other today, and more of the same wouldn't help. Simon showed me his fingers, which had slowly come back to life, but the index finger on each hand remained white and solid as far back as the first knuckle. So he had frostbite. I hoped it would not suffer further damage the next day. However, I felt sure that we were close to the end of the difficulties on the ridge, and that we would be able to reach base camp by the following afternoon. We only had enough gas left for 2 drinks in the morning, but that should be enough. As I settled myself down for sleep, I couldn't shake off the dread feelings I had experienced while traversing the ridge. The image of the 2 of us falling helplessly down the east face, still roped together, had all too nearly come true. I shuddered at the prospect of such an end. I knew Simon must have felt the same. The year before, he had witnessed just such a terrible accident at the Crow's Spur, high in the Mont Blanc range of the French Alps. 2 Japanese climbers had fallen to their deaths from close to where he stood, only a short distance from the top of the route. For 3 days, stormy weather had produced atrocious conditions. The rocks were plastered and verglass. a hard patina of ice covering the holds and filling the cracks. Progress had been painfully slow, as each hold was chipped clear, and otherwise easy sections had become desperately extreme climbing. Simon and his partner, John Sylvester, had bivouacked twice on the face, and late in the afternoon of that third day, another storm was building up, the temperature plummeting, heavy clouds shrouding them in a world of their own, and the first spindrift powder snow avalanches sweeping down. The two Japanese climbers had been following them closely. They had bivouacked separately, and there was no communication between the two teams, nor was there any sense of competitiveness or suggestion that they might join forces. Both parties were coping equally well in the difficult conditions. There were frequent falls, often from the same points. They had watched one another struggle, fall, and try again as they progressed up the face. When they reached the summit headwall, Simon had seen the leading Japanese climber fall outwards and backwards, arms outstretched in surprise. The awesome 2,500-foot plunge, visible through breaks in cloud, was framed behind him. To his horror, he had seen the falling leader jerk and twist, and without a sound, pull his partner into the void. Their belay piton had torn free. The two men plunged down, roped together, helpless. Oof. We're going to stop there, page 63. So we'll pick up again on the next video. I'm not going to say the day. And I also decided I need a catchy phrase at the end of my videos. So if you have suggestions, leave them in the comments. Or if you just want to leave a comment, that's fine too. But yeah, I need a catchy phrase to end, I feel like. So I hope y'all have a great week or day, depending on when you watch this, and I'll see you next time.